and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. You could be anywhere, but you're not. You're here getting some great information, and I appreciate you. I'm Dana Wint. I am the Community Engagement Specialist for Equal Hope, and welcome to the show. You know, Equal Hope is an amazing organization right here in Chicago that will assist you or sister or auntie or neighbor or best friend or a father with free mammograms, free cervical screenings, and a primary care appointment if that's what you need. And free is my favorite four-letter word. It's a good word. And I say men because you do know men get breast cancer too. Boom, boom. Ask Beyonce's father. Ask Richard Roundtree. I know 3 male breast cancer survivors in Chicago now. So I'm just saying everybody needs to pay attention. And if you need some support, we're there to support you. 312-942-3368, or you can visit equalhope.org. There's a Latina navigation team waiting for you. We've eliminated all the excuses. Give them a call. Early detection saves lives. Don't deny, verify. So today we are discussing survivorship with an amazing survivor, and she's right here in case you didn't see her. Boom, boom, and here she is. Chicago, I'd like to introduce you, or some may very well know her. This is Leslie J. Anderson. She's the global head of One Client Wealth Management for BMO Financial Group. It's a big job, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Leslie, for taking some time. I know you're busy. She travels a lot.
Thank you for having me.
And she's a breast cancer survivor.
Absolutely.
So, Leslie, this goes fast, so let's get right into it.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'll be quick. I am the daughter of Joan and Laszlo Anderson. Both of them are immigrants. I have to give props to Jamaica and Barbados because that is where my heritage is. I'm the youngest of 3. My sister, while she works for the city of Chicago, she is a designer. This is one of her pieces.
Okay.
I love this scarf because on it is graffiti, but it says powerful and survivor and sister. So it's words of affirmation that so I'm wearing one of her scarves probably every single day because it's a reminder to me of who I am and whose I am. And my brother, who's also a veteran, a great father, and my shade tree mechanic whenever I need him. So
I need it. Leave the number.
Right. But first and foremost, like I use my Anderson name at work because that's what people know. But the reality is I am married to an amazing man, Louis Rutland, and I have 3 amazing daughters, Jordan, Dylan, and Taryn. And I am a Christian. And as you said, I'm a breast cancer survivor.
And the Christian before the breast cancer survivor lets you know she had it in order. Because I can count on Leslie. She is a praying woman. And Absolutely. Okay, so I think we heard a lot of very interesting things. You're an immigrant. You have a brother who fixes cars, a sister who's a designer, 3 beautiful girls. And you're a breast cancer survivor, and you work in wealth management.
I do.
That's what we really need to be talking about. But today we're going to talk about breast cancer survivorship, and then we'll bring you back to talk about wealth management.
Okay.
How was your cancer initially detected?
I actually detected my own cancer. So it was in the middle of a pandemic. I was doing a lot of self-care. So everybody, we're hunkering down. I was running outside. I came home. I have a little, my superpower, I tell folks, is my glitter. So I got out of the shower, I put this glitter on, I was like, I feel something. My doctor, my gynecologist is one of my dearest friends, Dr. Dexter Arrington, and I called him on a Friday night at like 7 o'clock. I said, I feel something, what do I do? And he said, what you do is you come in. And I had another mammogram. I had just had a mammogram in January.
And this was in?
This was in 2020.
January, you had a mammogram. When did you feel that?
In July.
Of the same year?
Of the same year. And I came in and had a mammogram. They didn't see anything. I came back. He was like, nope, we're going to find something. So I came back. I had an ultrasound. They really didn't see anything. And my doctor literally said, no, she said she felt something. And so you're either going to find something that is benign or malignant. You are not going to discredit what she feels in her body. And so I had a biopsy, And that's how they found it.
Said a mouthful there. You have to advocate for yourself, because if they send you home, they sent you home. But you had
I had a healthcare provider advocating for me.
I said, but you had a caring grand doctor. You had a caring, praying grand doctor. Okay, so your grand doctor insisted. Now, this sometimes is the missing link.
It is.
You know, if your healthcare providers are missing, they're missing the boat, and you have an advocate for your provider who says, no, we're going to find it. So that's what happened.
He pushed, he has, that is part of his MO. He pushed, he's like, I don't know your body like you know your body. And so, yes, we're going to listen to you. And yes, you are going to be heard in this office. And he advocates for that all the time.
And I want to keep going, but I just want to piggyback here and say my situation is very much the same. Mm-hmm. I felt something. I called the doctor. He didn't feel anything on just an initial, but he said, but you know what? I'm sending you to, you're going to get an ultrasound. If you said it, and he says to this day, if a patient says they feel something, you will just never just discredit it or just discount it. Mm-hmm. So, okay, yeah. So, what was your initial reaction when you got the news?
WTF was probably the first thing that went across my mind. The other thing that came across my mind was, I'm not anchored for this. That's actually what came across my mind. You know, we were in the midst of a pandemic. We ain't been to church in months. I was afraid of what I didn't have as it related to the fight ahead of me.
And so anchored, you more spiritually?
Spiritually anchored. I literally I was talking to my pastor at the time, so Reggie Williams, and I said, I'm not anchored for this. And he said, yes, you are. The fact that you knew where to go speaks to your anchor.
So, okay. What stage were you when you were detected?
Stage 2.
Stage 2.
Grade 3. So it was a faster growing cancer.
Because you were there in January, or you hadn't felt anything yet.
They hadn't seen anything in my mammogram, and I hadn't felt anything. And when I did, it was stage 2.
HER2 positive?
HER2 positive. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So your treatment, what was your treatment protocol?
I actually did my surgery first. So I opted, initially I felt it on my left side, and then there was something that they weren't sure on the right side, and I was like, okay, enough. So I decided to have a double mastectomy, and I did ask my doctor at the time, Dr. Robinson, and I said, am I crazy for this? And she said, absolutely not. And she also continued to reinforce me that these are your decisions, guided by medical professionals, but this is your journey, and no one is to tell you that you're crazy. So that was helpful. So I had my surgery first. They found 3 of my lymph nodes that were infected, and they took a margin of error. So they took 21 lymph nodes out of my left arm, and then I had a full 2 full battery rounds of chemo and then radiation.
2 rounds.
So I had, the first round was for I think 2 months, and then the next couple of rounds was what they call the Red Devil, and that was it. Actually, my chemo ended on January 20th, 2021. So I figured I got rid of Trump and cancer on the same day.
Well, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Right.
Because it's not coming back, even though he did.
Well, yeah.
Hello.
That's right. That's right.
So, no, we not. No parallels there. Okay, so all right. So you had an aggressive regimen.
Yep.
And did your hair come out?
My hair came out completely.
Were you traumatized with that?
You know, I wasn't. So one of the things that was really helpful for me was talking to survivors and talking to folks in my village that had been around survivors. And so Shout out to one of my dear friends, Spring Capers, who said, let's get ahead of this. Don't let your hair fall out. You control the narrative. And so she cut my hair down really short. And then when it was really falling out, she completely shaved it off. And I felt empowered at a time when I felt out of control.
Yeah, those small things really do make a difference. Had you had any family history?
None. And that was why I was so shocked. I had no family history of breast cancer. I was shocked to learn that most women that are diagnosed with breast cancer don't have a familiar link. And I think that was something that I have continually shared with the public, so that you don't, like, when I felt something, you could have asked me a million times. I'm like, yeah, it's not breast cancer. I talked to my husband. He's like, it can't be breast cancer because you don't have it in your family. Reality is, yes, it can be.
Yeah, and so there you go. You do have to pay attention because it does not have to be hereditary to exist.
I think it's 14 or 15% of women that are diagnosed actually have a familiar link.
I'm not going to have any numbers, even though there are numbers, and I'm always hesitant to just say.
Well,
I want to say 70%.
I use the number because it is so small. It reinforces the fact that you really need to look outside of just your family. And I was always told that stress is the single biggest contributor of disease. So think about your lifestyle. Think about the external impacts on your life.
She slowed me down. Stress is the biggest
single biggest contributor of disease.
Lord have mercy. Everybody start thinking tick, 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 tick,
That's
tick,
right.
tick, tick. It is right.
Yeah.
And so we have to control that. I mean, that
Absolutely.
is my biggest challenge, honestly. So are you on any long-term therapies?
I'm on tamoxifen, which is an estrogen blocker, and I'll be on it through 2031.
10 years. Right. I did a 10-year run as
Yeah.
well. So that's a daily thing. And do you still obviously go visit your oncology team?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to keep going, you all. Got to keep going. And, I just say, remember your birthday month. I always think that that's a great month to do those annual exams so that you can remember. Every year, just schedule them during your birthday month. Your mammograms, your cervical screenings, your annual appointments, your dental appointments, whatever it is that you need to do every year. Maybe dental 4 times a year. but your eye exams, whatever you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, schedule it during your birthday month because it's just a lot easier to keep up with that.
Let me add something to that. So my brother-in-law, who is a trauma surgeon in Indiana, gave me some great advice. Because I found mine through self-examination. I encourage folks, know thyself, and do your own self-examinations. And it's hard to remember and all of that. So he said, Leslie, choose your birthday. My birthday is June 24th. The 24th of every... Now, I do mine far more often because of what I've been through. Right. But choose your birthday and do your self-exam every month.
On that day.
And do it as a part of celebration. So get a glass of wine or do something for yourself. So make it an event that you look forward to so that you can begin a habit that actually can save your life.
And if your birthday falls on a leap year, pick another day. Don't let that be your excuse.
That's right.
I mean, that's good advice because early detection matters. And I think that the reason why you go regularly is because if anything changes, and things change, like when you went in January, between January and May, and for me between June and October, things changed.
Absolutely.
And had I waited until, the next June, well, things might have changed a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So in the game of cancer, time makes it makes a difference. It changes things. And that's why you want to get in front of it. And so these days, there's so much research on cancer that, if you catch most cancers early, your prognosis is great, better. I won't say great, but you can live these days.
It's survivable.
Survivable.
It's survivable.
That's the word I was looking for. It's survivable. So your life now, your lifestyle now, how has your life changed? has your life changed? I mean, that was 3 years ago.
It actually, so as I was asking Dr. Robinson, when did I officially become a survivor? And she said, when I did a double mastectomy, when that happened. So August 25th, 2020 was my cancer-free day. And so this year is 5 years. And I've lost weight. I actually, one of the things that I do every morning now, there's probably I could count on one hand days I don't, but I do my devotion. I never want to find myself feeling unanchored ever again. And so I get up, my husband's like, why do you put your head under the cover? It's just my me and God moment. And he gives me the strength for the day. He gives me the calmness to push back the stress. He gives me the confidence that I need. People always say, you're so strong, you beat cancer. I follow doctor's orders. I don't know that I felt incredibly strong in those moments. But what I do know is his strength is made perfect in my weakness.
And it's a lot easier to follow the doctor's orders when you really feel like they're on your team.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that they are, when I was diagnosed, my boss said, do what the doctors tell you to do. Mm-hmm. He said, Earl Jones, president of Clear Channel at the time, he said, just do what the doctors tell you to do. And that would kind of be my advice, especially if you have a good team.
And I had an amazing team. I started off at Loyola. I was very intentional about wanting a team that was diverse, and I wanted a team that was led by a person of color. A Black woman was ideal, and I got just that. At a time when we were going through the murder of George Floyd and all of the challenges around race relations in this country coming off of Trump, I needed to know that my voice was going to be heard, and I heard so many stories about folks who weren't heard and in fact had some different outcomes. And so I had an extremely diverse team led by Dr. Patricia Robinson, and it gave me the trust that I needed and the trust that my husband needed. As a matter of fact, Dr. Robinson, when she met me, said she knew our lives had intertwined and we just didn't know it. And she said, I heard about your wedding. I just got married in 2019, and she said, I heard about your wedding, and this is not the end of your story. So in every part of my journey, I remember going through radiation, and I had felt something. This is when they were just starting to realize about COVID tests or the vaccine and how that was showing up. So I had to have another biopsy, and the nurse that was there with my biopsy was a survivor of 20 years. Like everywhere I went, there was a reminder that God is able, and this is survivable. And that I had a village. I had a village of sisters and my family and my daughters and my sorors. Right before I started chemotherapy, all of my a whole gang of my sorors came out, and my line sisters, to sing the Sweetheart Song to me in a very protective way, because we were still in COVID, to remind me that I had a village.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. I hear you were very fortunate, and you had, you got a good job, which probably affords great benefits.
Absolutely.
And at the time, I was in a great situation. But everybody doesn't have that.
Nope.
And especially African American women.
Absolutely.
Their health care is fragmented. The team isn't cohesive like that, where they meeting weekly to discuss your treatment. But Equal Hope does a really good job of trying to bring together the fragmented care. So I just want to stop and point that out. Should you ever find yourself in the situation, Equal Hope is an organization that understands fragmented care can slow stop you from going. You know, that disparity right there. You know, if you can't get to your appointment because it's on the other side of town and you have children to pick up at 3 o'clock, and every time the radiation is at 3:30,
That's right.
then you might not go, or you're only going to go sometimes, or you got to, you know, when you can get a ride. Because so we have transportation services, we have wonderful services that Equal Hope that can really make a difference when you're going through something like that. So I just want to throw that out there because, you know, a lot of us don't have, they just don't have the same health.
No, we don't.
Beautiful umbrella that we fell under. So I just want to say that. Okay, so I know God was on your journey. Your perspective on life. Okay, so you've made some lifestyle changes. Eating, like I green juice a lot. Just the way you feel. How do you live your life different? Do you feel like? Or were you living your life the same way before?
Yeah, I didn't do any 180. So like I didn't give up. People are like, you should give up all sugar. You should, and that's where, I really did lean on medical professionals. Dr. Robinson said all cells like sugar, Leslie. So you don't have to give up anything. Everything in moderation. Any strength or weakness overdone can be a challenge. And so I was just mindful of that. But I didn't do a lot of anything drastically different. What is different for me is my mortality sits in front of me on a daily basis. Like I know, I don't think I thought about the prospect of me dying before my children before until cancer. And so it reminds me to live life. And that's what I think about, I'm going to visit one of my girlfriends out of the country, and I am valuing those experiences far differently and leaning into them more often.
And you've done some other things with your life, proactive to helping women understand, because I hear since you've been diagnosed in 2020, you mentor women who have been diagnosed?
I don't know that it would... I don't know that I would characterize it as mentoring. What I would say is it was important for me to hear from survivors when I was going through it. It gave me a different kind of grounding. And so I avail my story and my presence and my ear and my hugs and all of that to women who are going through the struggle, because I think it's important. And I remind them things that people told me. This is your journey. People have said, well, should I do a double mastectomy? Am I crazy? This is your journey. You need to work with your medical professionals. But at the end of the day, this is your journey. Don't let anybody who is not going through this, who hasn't gone through this, to tell you anything different. And to give them support and to, wrap my arms around them. I got some of that from Erica Bracey, the brave chick.
They popped in on you?
Yeah, they not only did they pop it, she is one of my dearest friends. I call her sister. We call each other sisters. But she reminded me the importance of my voice in a community that especially Black women, they don't even talk. We say, hey, I got the big C. That's what you hear. So it is so important to see what survivorship looks like. It ain't pretty all the time. And I can be honest about what my journey looks like, but I am here. And I am thriving, and what I do know is God has more in store for me, and whatever that looks like, I'm gonna live life to the fullest.
Mic drop. I'm so glad you said double mastectomy, because I think you will sleep a lot better. I just feel like I had a double mastectomy as well, and I think that was, for me, that was a good decision.
It was for me.
That was a good decision. So I don't have to lose too.
But I still think about it.
Oh yeah.
I still think about every time I get a pain somewhere. I'm like, is it coming back? I talk to my husband about it all the time. But I can't let that stop me. I remember talking to I have a sister group, and I was texting saying, every once in a while I'm like, what if the cancer comes back? And I'm also reminded, what if you get hit by a bus? There's so many other things that could happen. Live your life with the expectation that God has more in store. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm going to receive that because, I spend probably more time than I should, you know, contemplating what if, you know, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot of other catastrophes.
My girlfriend says somebody on the Titanic skipped dessert. I was like, okay, point taken.
Point taken.
Point taken.
Well, before we go, listen, I just want to remind you that, you know, if anything resonated with you today and you heard her, and you take care of yourself, do your self-breast exams, know thy body, and should you find anything that feels abnormal, please give us a call. Equal Hope is ready to support you today, 312-942-3368, or you can visit equalhope.org. There's a team waiting for you. We have a Latina navigation team, so speaking Spanish is not going to be a barrier. We don't deny, verify, early detection saves lives. And then I'm going to say, Leslie, what would you like to say on the way out to anybody?
You just said it. Know thyself. Be your biggest advocate and know your body, and make sure that you surround yourself with folks that will hear you and that your voice is heard when it comes to your healthcare.
Ooh, now that is the mic drop. Make sure you surround yourself. Say it again.
With people that will hear you and that will support your healthcare journey.
And if you're not feeling supported,
find some place that will. And Equal Hope is definitely an organization that will surround you in the ways that you need to in a journey like this.
All right. So listen, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next month. Until then, may the rest of these days be the best of these days.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.